Welcome back, everybody. It's another Wednesday night, the Relationship Gumbo Podcast live edition. I welcome you back. I appreciate you guys for coming. And as you come in, please feel free to share and invite. And make sure your friends and family are on here. This is going to be an amazing show. I have a great guest on tonight. And we're going to really talk about what it means to be self-aware and just be who you are. A lot of us are wearing masks. We always talk about masks on this show. So this is going to be a great show. Make sure when you come in, you let me know that you're here. Say hello. Let me know where you're chiming in from. And I need for you to do me one favor. I'm going to take about 30 seconds to make sure that we're going everywhere. We're broadcasting live on YouTube, Facebook, and Periscope, aka Twitter. And give me 30 seconds. I'll be right back. And then we're going to get started. So stand by.
Okay, everybody wants good love, that's true, I know. Derek Jones about to break it down with the Relationship Gumbo. Welcome to the podcast. Ain't no doubt we all need this, ayy, cause better relationships need better ingredients, ayy. So if you want better relations, it's about communication, finding love, staying together. We all wanna make it better, yeah. Derek Jones the host, your relationship coach. Thank you all for tuning in. Relationship Gumbo, ayy.
All right, we're about to get started, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure you share and invite. Let us know you're here. And if you are new, this is how the show goes. I'm going to pause for 3 seconds. We're going to start the podcast portion. And during the podcast, you can feel free to add comments, ask questions, and I'll address them if they're pertinent to what we're talking about. Then at the end, I'll pause for another 3 seconds. And if we have time, you can ask additional questions. So without further ado, let's get started. So stand by. And welcome to another episode of the Relationship Gumbo Podcast. My name is Derek Jones, and I am your host. I am an engineer, a certified life coach, a strategist, and a mental health advocate. And today we are talking about self-awareness, being self-aware, what that means, how important is it to your life. It's a relationship show. We're going to talk about how being self-aware affects the relationships and the friendships you have. But we have a guest that not only is going to provide context, but he's a musician, a hip hop artist, and a multitude of other things I'm going to let him tell you about. So if you stand by for a second, we're going to bring him up and let him introduce himself because he can do it way better than I can. So hold on 1 second.
What up? What up?
All right. Night Train 357. Welcome, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you. My name is Night Train 357. My name's Night Train, and I'm the best. And all the ladies want to feel my chest. I just aged myself. How y'all doing, man? My name is Night Train 357. You can check me out at nighttrain357.com. I'm a dope MC and a whole bunch of other things, which we will talk about in today's episode with Derek Jones.
So ladies, so look, so I didn't mean to cut you off, but look, I want people to know a couple things about my guest tonight. Oh. So first and foremost,
well, I'm gonna take these glasses off.
Right. First and foremost, a few weeks ago we had another artist on named Priest the Nomad by way of Mr. Andre St. Clair, ADST Music, ADST Media, and Night Train 357 is another gift that we've been given from Mr. St. Clair. And the reason why I have musicians or hip hop artists, and I'll have a multitude of more probably down the line, is people will say, well, why are you having these musicians on your show? And I'm like, they're people too. They have lives, they have other things. And I like for people who may not necessarily tune into people like Night Train to actually see who he is underneath the music and actually kind of give some context to it. So maybe some people that may not have sought him out, like I would have never found him if I didn't know Andre. And once I listened to it, I was like, wow, like this new album, The Nightlife, is amazing. Like if you love hip hop, you have to have this album in your collection. And I told Night Train the other day, I was like, I haven't bought a full album from anyone in like a decade. And I immediately bought this one like 2 days in because I was like, I'm feeling this. So what I'm going to do real quick before we start talking to him, I'm going to play a little.
Your check's in the mail, Derek.
Oh, hey, I'll take those too. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna play a little 30-second clip for the people that are viewing. If you're on the audio, you'll hear a little bit of music and then it'll go off. We'll keep talking. So this is for the visual for the people that are watching online, and then we'll come back on the other side. So stand by.
No one. Got me a song for every mother's son. A song in a melody the whole world can hum. Let me tell you where I'm coming from.
Maryland mindset with DC influence. Listening to music that would groove and start a movement. Grew around drugs and hoods and burbs. And hustling on the corner and the bullies in the schools. And sounds a bit redundant, but I gotta speak my truth. Man. Didn't want attention, so I did my best to duck down a bust a loot. Chuck Brown called the stack to Uptown. Went to high school, wasn't cool, but I don't give a now.
All right, that was
Love that
was
song.
enough to give people a little taste. So the first question I want to ask you is,
Yes, sir.
this new. Well, I'm gonna make a comment and then I'm gonna ask you a question because it needs a little bit more deference from someone like myself. And we'll talk about it in a little bit. I'll tell you why the album connects with me so much, being the brain and the analyst and the engineer that I am, and the sci-fi geek and all that stuff that's rolled into who I am. This album, and this is a segue into why the title, right? The title came from me listening to the album. I didn't
Yes.
have this pre-planned or anything like that.
Oh,
The
wow.
album to me felt like it was like, after listening to the album, I felt like I knew who you were. Like there were so many elements of education and a little bit of, I heard a lot of sci-fi references in there. There's motivation. There's all different facets of different areas, and it felt like it was coming from an honest place. So this particular album, tell me the motivation behind it and how it came to be.
Oh, that's a good question. The motivation of the album. This is actually my third solo album. I've been an independent artist for many years, and I've done a lot of other things on top of doing music. I've studied under Willie the Bam Johnson, a martial artist in the DMV area, one of the best, and got my black belt. My wife got her black belt.
Wow, congratulations.
Yeah. Thank you. This year, actually, we got our black belt year after failing several times, because sometimes you fail and you got to pick yourself back up. But a lot of it started with the music that I was working on with ADST. He produced majority of the album with a few songs by my friend Artemis. And when we started sitting down, and I started sitting down and writing to this album, I was letting the pen just air out my grievances. And there's certain pieces and components in it that the average person is not going to understand. And I kind of always write the music. I always wrote my music in the past to be a little accessible, but not as vulnerable.
Mm-hmm.
So this time I flipped it. I said, okay, I'm going to make a more vulnerable album and slightly less accessible. It's accessible in terms of the references. If you're not a kid from PG County, you might not get this. If you're not, if you don't know who Frank Gehry is, you might not get. They're very specific things that, generally speaking, some people will understand and they'll get excited when they hear it. And for other people, they're going to be more enthralled with the energy. When I used to do katas in martial arts, when I was training as an underbelt, we went to Lake Harmony in the Poconos, and you have to judge your kata. And the problem with katas and forms is that every single person who judges you is not going to know that exact form. Mm-hmm. And so what they do is, if they don't know the form, they look at your attitude. And so for the people who don't, so in other words, the reference to the connection is, for the people who don't get every single line, you'll get the energy from it. And I won first place. And I actually met Grandmaster Billy Blanks, and I think he was in his 50s, and he was ripped. And I was like, how are you so ripped? I didn't say that to him. I was just starstruck. So I was like, Tybo. But yeah, a lot of interesting stories. But thank you. Next question.
Next question is this. I'm always going to have a comment before the question on this particular case, because I want people to, tonight, what I want for the audience is, I want you to understand the vibe of the album, the vibe of the man, and you're going to find some connective tissue with people in your life once we're finished. I have a mission. I call myself Professor X because I always try to put the pieces together. So the piggyback off of what you just said, and for the audience that are here to talk about self-awareness, this is the point that I'm going to make about that, and then we'll kind of expand on it. So first comment I want to make is the lyrics to this song. Like he said, there's a lot of context in certain things that you have to catch. For me, it was being that kid that grew up in PG County. And for those of you that are listening that aren't from Maryland, this is probably one of the most affluent Black counties. If not, I think it is the most affluent Black county in the United States.
Yes.
When you grew up in an area like this in the 80s, the 70s, 80s, 90s, people who were nerds, smart, it wasn't sexy back then.
No, it still isn't. It's what are you talking? It wasn't back then. It still isn't sexy.
I think it's a little better now. I think.
Yeah, kind of. It's a little bit better. I mean, what one of the top grossing movies was Avengers. I think it was Avengers. Rest in peace, Chadwick Boseman. Rest in power. But no, you're right. Growing up and being a kid who had certain, I don't want to say, certain privileges, certain things that other people didn't, because we weren't major big money, but we were lower middle class, maybe middle class. And my parents and my grandparents and my family unit did what they could to make sure that we had a good childhood. And that's not always a definite path to success. You just want to make sure your kids are doing better than you. My father always told me, rest in peace. My father always told me that don't be like me, be better than me. Mm-hmm. That's actually the reason my name is Night Train 357. It was his CB radio name. So after he died, I took on the name. What happens is I had this wonderful family unit. I had these people in my family who loved me, and I appreciated that. And for whatever reason, when I went to school, when I dealt with the public, it was a different type of energy. It was like, oh, you that stuff is child stuff. You ain't listening to this song, or you're not doing this, or why are you sitting in the corner drawing Spider-Man and X-Men and stuff? Maybe because I have an active imagination. I couldn't play basketball. Right. I had to learn how to fight. And so it was tough. It was tough for me and my friends. We were there were a few of us, and we would kind of be kings within our own little small pocket of people, which is really all you need. What I find funny is that those same people who were associates, not friends, but people who knew me back then, they'll hit you up on Facebook today and be like, hey man, remember when we used to? No, I don't actually. And then they'll be like, well, we need to unify as Black people. Before you start preaching, can you apologize for being a jerk? Right. So it's like it's interesting with the whole, and I say all that because, and this might be going off on a tangent, but I say that I don't want to go too much on a tangent, but we say that because in our society right now, it has become almost trendy to have a sense of unity when there are still issues that within our own community, even in the Black community, which we need to address. You can't pick on nobody just because they look slightly different from you. Right. Right. That's where a lot of the energy and lyrics came from. I was like, just say what I need to say and say something different that not everybody in hip hop is saying. Absolutely. And so the next couple comments I want to make about being self-aware. And on this show, I always talk about understanding and knowing who you are and owning that, especially when you're in, no matter what type of relationship it is, whether it's a friendship or a romantic relationship. If you know who you are, then you're better serving yourself to kind of choose who comes in your personal space, and you're able to discard things that don't fit. But if you're pretending to be something you're not, then the things you welcome in are connecting with a fake version of you. And then internally it blows up. You could pretend to be happy all you want to,
but that's not really who you are.
Amen.
And so the reason why on this album, from what you were saying earlier, the lyrics are very what's a good word for it? It runs a little deep.
Yeah.
And even if you're not like a lyric person in hip hop and you just like the vibe, you can listen to it and just listen to the flow of each of the songs and just ride the beat and just enjoy it. It serves double duty. You know what I mean? For me, like I'll sit back and listen to a couple of songs, and because I always tell people on here, I'm not the person who, when I meditate, I'm listening to the waves crashing and doing all of that. You give me a good playlist to just vibe out to, and it just like mute that. And so there's a few songs on there that I keep in rotation just for me to just, and even though I've listened to the lyrics over and over and over again, it's just how it feels. It just kind of puts you in kind of a zone. And so for the people who love hip hop that are watching, and people who love great content and they love, to have things to motivate you, to have things that kind of make you dance and all of that, you're getting all of this in the album. And you're also getting to know who he is without him beating it into you, so aggressively. And I like the fact that it kind of, you kind of got to kind of listen to it a couple times I was like, wait, did he say TARDIS? Did he say?
Yes,
and
I
I'm
did.
like, what? I'm like, what?
I was corrected. I was corrected by my friend Kat. I said Gallifrey. I meant to say Gallifrey on this one song. He said, pronounce Gallifrey. And I went, okay, well, I sent you the track months ago and I asked you to take a look at it. And you didn't, but that's okay. I still kind of, when I say it live, I go Gallifrey, not Gallifrey. So
for people that are listening, now it's getting into sci-fi.
Yes, it is, definitely.
So now going back to the overarching umbrella of being self-aware, this album feels very self-aware in a lot of different areas. So my question to you was there any point in your life where you felt like you had to mute that down in order for you to kind of move around or were you always just like, this is who I am?
Oh, God, no. No. I'm in my late 30s and I'm just starting to figure it out.
Right.
It's okay we need to, for youth especially, I think I said a line in one of the songs where I said, I wish I had a time machine so I could tell a younger me to keep those middle fingers up in the air. Yeah. Because I really wish I did. I wasted too much of my 20s. I wasted too much time worrying about what other people think about me. Yeah. And then realizing that, I remember this, I'm happily married, but I was not really dating, but I was kind of talking to this girl once, and she says, what'd she say? She said, how she saw my Transformers, because I'm a huge comic nerd and I love Transformers. You guys who are looking visually at this right now can see a couple of robots here and there in the background. I just got my new Rodimus Prime. Love him. Great. Absolutely wonderful. Just got him. But my first girlfriend, I used to not display them. And then this girl I was talking to, after I was in my 20s and I got my first apartment, I had put them on display, and she walks in there and goes, oh my God, my husband, if I got married, he'd have to get rid of all these. I said, well, I ain't marrying you there. So, and having the confidence to be yourself when people, through their own insecurities, try to kind of wear you down a little bit, shout out to AJ Throwback. He just said Rodimus Prime. You're gonna see more of him. But definitely find that awareness is important, and it's not easy. It's something that you build, like building blocks. It takes a while for you to get to that level. I remember when I was younger, and I told somebody I wanted to rap, and they said, well, you're a graphic designer I went to art school. I was like, well, I can't rap. You can't rap. And I said, yeah, I want to do that. I want to do it all. And here I am. I'm a senior designer. I work with major brands, and we were just talking off before we started. I freelanced at NASA for a little while.
Mhm.
I've met Kamala Harris and work with major politicians, the Congressional Black Caucus. Shared stages with Craig Robinson, trained with Billy Blanks. I'm a rapping, graphic designing, martial arts nerd, and I'm proud of that.
Absolutely.
When you sit around at a conference and have a talk with Bruce Leroy about politics of all things, you feel really blessed to be in the situation. Walking up and saying, "Hey, Arnold Schwarzenegger." Yeah. Did I tell you the time I saw Arnold Schwarzenegger? He's sitting there and he looks at me. I say, "You the man?" He said, "No, sir, you are the man." He shakes my hand. Great guy.
Yeah.
My grandma took you the dog though.
So what was there a catalyst moment in your life where you was just like, you know what, I'm just going to be me, or did it just kind of happen gradually?
It happened gradually. There is no eureka moment. There is no catalyst moment. Hell, there's no love at first sight. This is all not real. It is a gradual progression over time that builds your confidence. And in that process, in a slow process, there are going to be times where you are going to retract, and then you're going to go to the next level. And it's really difficult to it's hard to identify. You just kind of got to go with it, and you have to check yourself. Every day is maintenance. It's like I don't believe in crash diets. I don't believe in crash diet. You lose weight over time. One time I was on a serious kind of fitness plan after the breakup, because why not? That's what men do after the breakup. We don't go to the Haagen-Dazs. So and I think it was 2011, and I dropped like 30 pounds. And it was when I wasn't thinking about it, and I was just going with emotions and being true to myself. Yeah. So
yeah, it's important to be on a path to get to that point of self-awareness. Because what I realized, even for myself, like even what I do here with the life coaching, right? And people know this, I'm an engineer. I say that at the beginning of my show purposely for that point, for people to understand, like, there's life coaches out here, but my context is a little different because my brain works a little different because I am an engineer. I work with NASA, blah, blah, blah. It took me. And so when you say that, and then I was married once before and I'm divorced. And so they're like, you're divorced and you're an engineer. How dare you try to be a life coach? And I'm like, I'm human. I have life experience.
Yeah.
And the engineer brain and the analytical brain in me puts puzzle pieces together like you wouldn't believe. And I'm like, I got you. I've been there. I've seen this. And the way that I try to put it together, it's I'm very good at putting puzzles together. And we're gonna get to some of these comments in a minute. I see somebody wrote like a whole dissertation. We about to get that in.
Yeah. Sorry. Hey Sydney, how you doing?
But on the other side of it, when you live in that truth, it's like the sky opens up.
Yeah.
And it's like, I really don't give a damn what you think.
Yeah.
And because there was a point, like in the beginning of me doing this, where I had like this major brand was like, we want you to do a commercial for your stuff and blah, blah, blah. And I did the commercial. And then they was like, we don't really know what category you fit into. And we don't know we don't know if we can put our name behind. And I was like, you know what? And it hurt. It hurt. And I was like, maybe I should stop. And then another part of me was like, no, this is who you are. Keep going. And I haven't looked back. And I love it. Every time I come on here, it's like, this is where I belong.
And it shows.
And
it definitely shows.
I say that. Yeah. And it's like when you are in that space and then you start to meet people who are attracted to that energy, those relationships end up being magical.
Yes. I have a lot of I have a lot of lady friends. Shout out to my wonderful wife Brianna. Some of them are in here right now, and they're good friends of mine. We all hang out, we all have a great time. And like I said, I'm in my late 30s, and so a couple of my friends are in their 30s or their late 20s, and they will tell me their horror stories about some of the relationships that they are in or getting out of or have dealt with. and I met this guy at a bar. No. You know where I met my wife? I met my wife at a rap show.
Oh, okay.
I met my wife at a rap show. My mother-in-law wants to take pictures at the same place that we met, or it's my wife's idea to take pictures the same place we met, at a rap show place called Bloom. It was a community center called Bloom Bars in Capitol Heights. And shout out to John Chambers. And I was doing a show there, and my future wife's sister was live painting that same night, and she was trying to meet new people and new designers, and we were friends for a while, and it happened naturally, and that's just not, and I know this is not just about relationships in terms of a committed relationship between a man and a woman or partner, but
Right.
in terms of the relationships that I have gravitated towards, my best friend is, to even to go a little further, my best friend is I'm 37 years old. I've known him for 33 years. And we grew up together, but it's more than that. It's deeper than that. It's a love of the same things, an understanding and appreciation for each other. Hey, what did you do at Comic-Con? Oh, I did such and such and such. Like, I literally go to Transformer conventions. I went to Chicago for a Transformer convention. Like, this is the kind of person I am. And to tie it all back together to the album, I just wanted to say, it's a documentation of telling the people it's okay to be you, be your best you, be authentic, because that's going to set you up with conversations like Derrick Jones, because you're going to be sitting there having a real talk instead of trying to front. It's so much easier just to be real.
Absolutely.
So much easier.
I'm gonna touch a couple comments and then we're gonna come back. Spin City says, ask him if he was quiet when he was younger.
I was an introvert.
Yeah, me too.
but I found out I was an introvert not because I wasn't outspoken. It was when you went out, when you took yourself out there and people bat you down, you learned your lesson. It's like you're touching the stove and it's too hot, and you're just like, all right, well, I'm going to curl back into my ball. And so that would happen. And then wash, rinse, and repeat until I stopped dealing with those type of people. So yeah, I was quiet.
Yeah, me too. Spin City also says he was on that heartbreak diet. I've been on it too.
Oh yeah, it was no, it was not a heartbreak diet. It was the exact opposite. It was man, I finally got time to do something for me. It was kind of messed up.
Yeah,
but yeah, well, from what I hear through the grapevine, she's happy and I'm happy and we're all happy. So whatever.
Right. Damian Linder says, bro, that happened to me too. The one who I thought I was going to marry did the same damn thing to me. Coming from a nerd background, I love anime. Her family saw my MySpace, Facebook, and said I was not worthy. Basically, I found in my life walking that walk and trying to be real with who I am.
Yeah,
I really point the real point of self-evaluation every day, and I eventually found that I needed to be happy with me before someone outside can be.
And shout out to that comment too, because I like what he said. He said the real point of self-evaluation every day.
Yeah.
It's life maintenance every day. You can't coast. You can't sit there and say, all right, well, I worked out last week, so I guess I can have fries this week. No, it doesn't work that way, fam. You got to keep going.
Yep.
You take your high blood pressure medicine every day.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. I got it. Whoa, all these comments scroll. Okay. So I'm gonna get them in because I love my folks. Got to make sure we get them in. Andre St. Clair ADST says, once you live your truth, it will truly transform your life.
Amen.
Absolutely.
Amen.
And he says also nobody can hurt you. And then Sydney Lee says, I am a trained life coach and only do it for friends, but can relate to what you just said. What I learned when younger is it only takes you being one step in front of the person you're helping. So bump those people who want to judge you for your life experience. Happy you stepped into your own. Absolutely.
And I love Sydney. Sydney is a good friend. We have these great, crazy house parties where we all throw down and we just act our real selves. And I don't want to stress the details because I don't want to get nobody in trouble. But man, you're talking about being free and letting loose. Best feeling I ever had. My friend Nana and Gabe and just and I don't even just meeting these people on a ski trip. Now, what black man you know ski?
Not this one.
I had some adventures. Oh, have mercy.
Natasha Carpenter, she has a moniker that she uses. She calls it BAM, being authentically me. And that
also means better attitude makers, which is my instructor's name. BAM. BAM.
Deborah Davis said, shout out to Suitland Road in Capitol Heights, Maryland. We go, okay. Damien says snowboards. Yeah, I'm not touching none of that. I like my limbs where they are.
Yeah, I did the bunny slope once. And you know, some of my friends were taking classes, and I should have taken a class. And their instructor says, now what you don't want to do is go at full speed and screaming like a crazy person. And then I fly by, and they point out, they said, like that guy. And that was the last time I skied, but I always went to the ski trips.
Oh,
so
absolutely.
when everybody else would go on the slopes, I would say, I'll be in the hot tub. I'll be in the hot tub all day. It was a hot tub time machine.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So just to kind of well, not necessarily a recap, but as you hear the conversation and the comments, and we're all kind of like meshing together here, it's very, again, I want to emphasize how important it is to take time to get to know you. A lot of us, you know, we're busy. We have lives. We have and I don't care if you're 60. It's never too late to figure it out, because it's a benefit to yourself and the environment around you, your kids, your family, for you to really be yourself. And like, you know, just like you have your Rodimus Prime and when you find somebody that loves you despite all of that, that's great, man. I've been watching the Justice League animated cartoons and the DC comics and all of this stuff, and she's like, "You watching cartoons?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I got to get it in."
No, what my wife and I, we binge watched the Titans on DC Access. We watched Harley. We have a rivalry in the house. I'm more of a DC person. She's more of a Marvel person. Shout out to PlayStation 4 for that lovely Spider-Man game. I still love the Batman Arkham games. I got my Batman shirt on right now. Yeah. But it makes it interesting. And sometimes when my mother sees us interact, she goes, "Oh my God, you guys are meant for each other." I said, "What do you expect, Mom? You want me to like sit around and quote from The Last Dance?" And I mean, all that stuff. So I actually like The Last Dance, but you know, you want me to? I don't fit in a box. You know, right. I'm black man, Jordans, insert stereotype here. Like, no. Yeah. If I want to go rock climbing, I'll go rock climbing. You know what I'm saying? It's like, and then I'll try it and I won't like it. You know, like my stepfather is a meat and potatoes kind of guy. While we go to Carrabba's one time, I'm gonna get in trouble for telling you the story. We went to Carrabba's once. And you know what Carrabba's is? It's Italian grill, right? Mm-hmm. So he says, I don't like no different food now. You know what they got here. And he saw me eating a bunch of ribeye tips, you know, with asparagus. And he looks at, well, what is that, lamb? I don't want to eat nothing different. Like, no, that's not what. First of all, that's not different. But second of all, right. It's like, I'm not taking him to eat Thai food, like, you know. But that's certain people, you know what I'm saying? You know, that's one of the things I like about the DMV and Prince George's County and the area is the diversity and the different perspectives. Even when I went to art school, it was like my friends that didn't go to college with me were just like, you know, they sometimes were all black, all white, you know, university. Me, I was meeting people from the Philippines and like Brazil and, you know, just seeing how everybody else lived their lives. And so it just brought me a new perspective. And then when I owned it, it manifested in the music, among other things, and eventually led down this path to create apparently what is a very relatable album. So I appreciate your patronage, Derek. I really do. Absolutely. And just to kind of to make another comment about the album, it speaks to. And I actually, when I talked to Andre about it, when I first heard it, I was like, he's talking about me. And wow. Yeah, because
I relate personally to damn near every song on the album, and what I told him, and even I believe when I was watching you on AJ Throwback show, Bars, and while we were watching it, I said there's a lot of us out here like that, that's in the area that didn't fit into that mold, and this album was like, yes, he's talking about us. It's a lot of us out here that wasn't into, hardcore, into like go-go and stuff. We were hip-hop heads, and I was like, we didn't fit. And this album not only does it speak to that, but it also speaks to to me, it was very adult, very grown. These are the lessons that I've learned, and I want to pass it on. It was, I want you to keep pushing, rise up, push, keep going. And that comes with time. That comes with time. That comes with, a lot of us introverts, we sit back and we watch and we absorb while everybody else is out there doing all of this.
Let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a question. Actually, I'm on a podcast too that's coming out soon called Trolling for Friends, which
cool.
Yeah. That's where the online rage goes offline without a profit. Formerly a Renaissance man, formerly with Murder Inc. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. He's a great guy. But let me ask you a question.
Yep.
Are you sick of 2020 and looking forward to just getting this year over with and getting to 2021?
Well, so short answer, yes, but kind of not, right? Because 2020, even though it's been rough in a lot of different ways, I've also had time to cultivate things that I probably never would have if I was going and driving and doing the commutes and all of that. So I can't say that it's been a bust. But we got a lot of horrific bad stuff going on too, where I do want to hit the fast forward button, but I am able to kind of, when I have those moments to kind of sit and try to create and do stuff, I got time now. Like I can.
That's interesting. That's really interesting. I appreciate that answer. The reason it was kind of a baited question, but the reason I asked that is also a reflection of the album. A lot of people are saying less introspective things than what she said, which are, oh God, I just can't stand 2021. I can't stand 2020. I need to get to 2021. Just wait till this year gets over. Look, if you don't put in the work right now, 2021 is going to be a repeat of 2020. So all of those things you're mentioning about with the positive self-reflection, even this conversation about self-awareness, once everybody gets off of this discussion, we need to sit back, grab a beer, get some seltzer water, something, take 15 minutes and just self-reflect, sit back and meditate. Because I told my wife that said, and I said this before several times, your fiscal year should end before November. Like that and what that means is nobody's thinking about nothing after November except fruitcake and turkeys and Black Friday and all that stuff. Shout out to whoever likes that. It's not my thing, but your mindset is you're done for the year. And so you hit, I do this, happens to me every year. January 2nd, because we're off on January 1st. I start getting phone calls. Hey, I got this website idea. I need this logo. I need something. We need to make moves. Bro, I've already made those moves. I've already set myself up for success. Like the ant and the grasshopper. So that's the best part of 2020. There's some terrible things that happen like they do. I mean, it's like, 2020 sucked, but glad I wasn't living in Tulsa 100 years ago. So there's a lot of things societally, and I don't want to get into that are drama filled and crazy. And what you are blessed to be is alive.
Yeah. And
so the important thing is to think to yourself, all right, how can I make my tomorrow better based off of what you know now? Yeah.
Yeah. Let me get some of these comments because folks is typing.
Oh man.
Tonight. Let's see. Damien says, so I'm married now and she loves anime. She loves Gran Turismo, Mortal Kombat. I'm a Street Fighter guy. Games like Heavy Rain. She supports my loves, interests, and passions. And because of that, I support hers as well.
Hey,
So-
man, that's what I'm talking about.
So here's a little bit of context about me and my wife. She doesn't like that stuff, but she accepts the fact that I do, right? Because I know,
Yeah.
you know, everybody isn't going to be into all of this stuff,
Yeah.
but she allows me the space to do it, and she doesn't judge it, and that's all I could ever ask for. And in those differences, that because she'll never sit down and watch the stuff that I watch,
No,
but
that's
she'll
cool.
be
That's
like,
fine. That's fine. I don't watch
know-
the game.
I know you
don't
need
watch
it.
Moesha.
she's like,
You
I know
need it.
you need it, so go ahead and get that in. Watch your little cartoons.
Yeah, get it in, get it out your system.
So I say that to say it's not necessarily always that you're going to find somebody that's into everything. It's just about finding somebody that accepts you for who you
For
are,
who you are, yes.
for who you
amen.
are,
Yep.
and that's key because, like I said earlier in the show, a lot of us have spent our lives trying to conform and be accepted and being who you, because that all of that stuff in my prior relationships, please, I was like, what do you need me to be? And it was that. And
Right, right.
It wasn't me just being myself.
You've seen Coming to America. You look old.
Hold on, let me
No, I got a couple grades too. Actually, I got an album called Grays. Great album.
I know you. Yes. Yes.
Shout out to Roan. But yeah, you remember that scene in Coming to America, where Akeem at the beginning, he's got his bride to be, and she said, "Whatever you would like to, sir. Whatever you would." No, I don't want that.
Yeah.
I want somebody who challenges me. My wedding vows, I said, I'm looking for. I mentioned that this is not my wife. This is my partner.
Right.
And there's things that we don't agree with, fundamentally don't agree with, but we learn to accept those differences and move forward. And that also goes, so that extends to my friends and my family.
Right. Absolutely. Let me try to get a couple more of these in. Joseph
Oh yeah.
Going says, AJ Throwback. I'm going to be honest. A huge amount of the reason why the Nightlife will be in my top 10 for 2020 is because of what y'all are talking about. It's legitimately one of the most relatable albums I've ever listened to in my entire life. Like somebody finally spoke to me in my struggle. Amen.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
That's exactly how I listened to it. And it did not take 10 listens for me to get it either.
I had
knew
no
exactly
idea.
what it was.
I had no idea I was doing that when I went into it. I was like, no one's gonna like this. No one wants to hear from Steve, not Night Train. Steve. Like, but yeah, I guess I was wrong.
Yeah,
surprisingly.
it will, and we're all, the people that are on here that I know that have listened to it, we're all, pushing this thing. Like I'm a hip hop lover, but like I told Priest a few weeks ago, I was like, my love was a lot more commercial than a lot of the stuff that you guys do and listen to. But I'm a lover of the art. I'm a lyrics guy. So this pulled me in for all of the reasons why I love hip hop. And then when you listen to the depth of what the lyrics are, and just like Joseph said, this is something that spoke to him. There's a lot of us out here that really fit exactly everything that you were saying, and a lot of, and as you know, back in the day, it wasn't celebrated. We had to hide.
Oh God, no, yeah, we had to hide. We had to hide. This is before we were, a lot of guys who are RIPing Chadwick Boseman for all the right reasons are citing Black Panda. I was in a Black community group, which I got out of because somebody said we need to come together as a people and make our own Wakanda.
Mm-hmm.
And so I replied and I said, well, we can't because we don't have vibranium. Instead of LOL, exactly. Instead of that reaction, somebody decided to school me. They started, angry messaging and said, I should be mad at you, brother, but instead I must, I think I want to educate you instead about the precious metals in Africa. And bruh, vibranium it's a fictional metal. Stop it. Okay. Are you trying to outwoke me? I did not fall asleep during world history. I do know where gold comes from, bruh. I appreciate it, but we cannot create our own sovereign country. There's a lot of where we're going to get this land. Where are we going to get this land? I know, the Savage Land. Nerd alert. Savage Land. Nerd alert. Also, where the Dinobots in the Marvel continuity got their forms. Nerd
Everybody
alert.
in the comments is like, whoo.
Woo, right over the head. Right over. Look it up. Google it. It's there for you. Google it.
So heck, more comments before because I love my folks. Michelle says, yes, people are so quick to get to 2021, but doing nothing now while they have had the time to reflect, regroup, and prepare.
Amen.
Absolutely.
Shout out to Michelle.
Spin City says, y'all talking and scrolling. Ask him what's his opinion about black men and therapy.
I go to therapy. My parents, my father was a dinosaur, and I love my father. I love my grandfather. My paternal grandfather. They were dinosaurs. It's a lot of this. Well, a man does this and a woman does this, and let's be real. That thinking is out the window. That thinking is really out the window. Seek the help that you need. It's still taboo within our society for a black man to seek some sort of attention, but we find out ways. There would be a lot less angry rappers if somebody had somebody to talk to.
Right.
Think about it. Rapping. What does rapping stand for? Rhythm and poetry.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when you give a guy, I don't know, Shakespearean tights and a fluffy, pirate, I don't know, fluffiness around his collar or something to look like he's something from the Renaissance, and go, oh my dear, give me the loot. I'm a bad boy. It doesn't sound as cool, because really all you're doing is you're just singing riddles and nursery rhymes over beats.
Right.
And it's like, how can you be Cameron? How can you be that tough in Pink? No, you need to be okay with who you are. And so take it to that next level and sit down and just have a conversation with people and talk out your feelings, because like I said, they will manifest in some other fashion, and it can be man emotions. You ever seen Man Emotions? You ever watch TV? You just see Man Emotions, either Black Dynamite. Why don't you smile? I am smiling.
Right.
That's cool. But yeah, definitely black men definitely do that. Everybody needs therapy. Everybody needs somebody to talk to.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Not your bartender.
Right, exactly.
Right.
That a lot of including myself, a lot of people that even listen to the show and share stuff, even just typing in the comments, is therapeutic, just to be able to let it go.
Yeah.
Every show I do is therapy for me. That's why I choose these topics not based on me writing out this big outline. It's like I gotta feel like I get these little epiphanies of feelings like a week before, and I'm like, okay, that's next week. Okay, boom, this is, I think people need to hear this. So that's why I told you before the show, and I tell every guest I have, I don't give you a bunch of questions to answer. We just gonna go, and I want you to just be organically yourself. Joseph Going says, man, listen, y'all, thank y'all for putting together a cohesive, relatable body of work and a sonic masterpiece. I think because my love of hip hop has been so commercial, I've kind of been let down by the commercial folks. And so
what do you mean by commercial? Because
let me put some context. Back in the 90s, a lot of the underground stuff was but now it's like what you do, what Priest does, I love it, but I would probably never find it if I just was just randomly searching.
That's the hardest struggle of being an independent artist.
Yeah,
is exactly what you say. Not to cut you off, I apologize, but
are you good?
I was at Blues Alley. Which are you familiar with Blues Alley?
Absolutely.
Blues Alley. Actually, Don Pullen, my wife's great uncle, was a jazz musician and performed there. Miles Davis, Phyllis Hyman, everybody. Anyway, Cecily which is featured on Cosmic Cruise. She was there, and we went to go see her perform, and it was beautiful. Put people in tears. It was beautiful performance for her album at the time, Songs of Love and Freedom, and she just came out with a new one called The Awakening Part 1, which will be on vinyl soon. And after there were guys with gray in their hair, and let's call him Rufus, black man Rufus. And he said, "Man, they don't make it. They don't do it like that no more. You don't hear that no more." And I turned to him and I said, "Actually, they do. They do, because you just got to do a little bit more digging.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
A little bit more digging. You can't go, oh, well, they don't make music like that anymore. Actually, they do. She sounds like Minnie Riperton. Minnie Riperton died in the 70s. Like, she's a reincarnation of Minnie Riperton. She's right there. I am kicking and screaming, telling my mother. I tag her on every post. I'm like, go check it out. They need your support. Oh, well, the music on the radio sounds like, that's just one teeny fragment with a little bit more money to put it in your face. So I appreciate you taking the time to listen to Priest and listening to ADST's suggestions and listening to the nightlife, because it's stuff like that and spreading that word around that changes the dynamic and the paradigm shift and puts the music and the art that we like back in our control.
Absolutely.
Mic drop. Where's my mic at?
Absolutely. Yeah, you definitely did that. And and when Joseph said it's a sonic masterpiece, I said the exact word the first time I ran through the album. I told Dre, I said, this is a masterpiece. And like I said, because I didn't dig deep enough to find the things that would really resonate with me, I just kind of said, like, I listened to stuff, the older stuff that gives me those feels, and I kind of shut my brain off to some of the stuff that's coming out. And so when I heard this, I was like, this is a masterpiece.
I'm glad you're listening, because I cannot advocate enough for the talented artists, especially in the DMV. For people who don't know what the DMV stands for, this District, Maryland, Virginia, that are doing it up. The underground artists that I meet constantly through guys like AJ Throwback. I listen to his show religiously every week, and every episode I'm following somebody new on Instagram or something like that. Somebody asked me recently, well, who's the dopest person out there? I don't know, because I'm not really listening to music like that. Not on no disrespect. Shout out to Nas. I actually thought that was a pretty dope album, but it's like it takes a lot for the mainstream to kind of hit me, because my whole day is listening to AJ Throwback or Uptown XO or Cecily or Allison Blanc, or after this conversation, I can give you a whole list of people who are just. I'm actually there's 24 MCs on a track, which is we're coming out with a video next week. You do remember that song "We're All in the Same Gang" by it was Humpty Hump. So we did a remix to that with all DMV artists, and these guys are incredible. And we all were talking about Black excellence in the song, and so that's coming out next week. So get ready. Shout out to her, Kenilworth Katrina, dope MC.
We ready. Oh
yeah.
So let me get some of these comments in, and then we're gonna start wrapping up in a minute, because we're almost at an hour. Latasha Carpenter says, how do you get the album? No bootleg copies.
Oh no, you want the bootleg? I can get you the bootleg. I can get you the boot. Well, actually, you can visit nighttrain357.com and download the album. There's a Bandcamp link at nighttrain357.com where you can download the album. I am also streaming everywhere. A lot of my old stuff is out there as well. You can follow me on please follow me on Spotify, because those numbers on follows go up, and then I get my own radio station. So shameless plug. But also for all the old school cats, since we're talking about just loving the hip hop and the culture, I have also released this album because I believed in it that much, and it cost me a lot of money to buy it. I released it on wax, so you can buy the album on vinyl, even if you don't. And if you buy it on vinyl, you can actually even if you don't have a vinyl player, record player, you can buy a record player at Target. But it also comes with a digital download, and each vinyl record is a different color. They're eco-friendly. And if you purchase directly from nighttrain357.com, I mean, you can still stream, of course, but if you purchase from nighttrain357.com, a percentage of each sale goes towards nonprofit organizations such as Color of Change, and also helping Save Our Stages, the Save Our Stages campaign in Washington, D.C., because a lot of small venues, of course, are displaced because of COVID-19. There's a lot of gig workers who are out of work. And so I'm trying to do my part to help people as much as I can.
So I'm going to get a couple comments.
Yes, possibly an orange. I don't
Yeah.
know. It could be. I have no clue. Every single one is
That's her
different.
favorite color. Spin City says, ask him if, I think we kind of sort of touched on this. She asked him, did your self-awareness come out of necessity or was it organic?
It was totally organic. It wasn't necessity. No, I take that back. It was like 60-40. Part of it was necessity. Part of it was organic. Part of it was there were certain situations where you have to be your true self. And in order, hip hop, for example, I need to make a sale. Let's be real. I'm not a salesman. But in order to be confident in my sales pitch, I have to believe in myself. So it becomes a necessity. I was forced into it. I used to work a sign shop as one of my first jobs, getting out of retail, my first design job. And it was a small sign shop. And I would be sitting there with customers, explaining to them the importance of a sign. And you have to kind of get out of your introverted form that minute there, because you had to make the sale, because you had to get paid at the end of the week. So that was a necessity aspect of that. But I didn't force it. It happened, and I got better over time, just like anything else, you know.
Right.
It's like you do a kata, you do a form. My instructor always says you do it 1,000 times one way, and you do 1,000 times backwards, and then you got it.
Right.
Repetition.
Yeah.
Bruce Lee.
Absolutely. That's how I do this show.
Orange.
This show is anti my introvertedness, but as soon as I hit play, it's like game on.
Yeah. I will say that the pandemic is really really messed me up a lot, because I enjoy being home way too much. Because you start to realize, not necessarily on the introvert tip, but it's just like I don't miss getting on the train and getting to work and having people breathe on the back of my neck. Like don't know. I don't miss. There's certain people in my life I do not miss anymore. And
I hear you on that one.
Yeah. I'll do the Zoom calls any day. Yeah. I ain't gotta wear pants.
Yeah, we're gonna do. It's probably like 3 comments, and then we're gonna wrap it up for real.
Yeah.
Joseph Going says, yes, there is so much great music out here, and that's the beauty of the internet. Also, building a relationship with folks who do music expose us to even more dope music.
Oh my God, yes.
And Andre says, it's also due to the industry and their belief that after a certain age, your demographic doesn't matter. They target teenagers.
Which is funny, because I target teenagers too.
Yeah,
you know that. Yeah. I'm not a shifu, not an instructor, but I have led classes, my martial arts classes, and some of the kids at my school say Mr. Wilkes, because that's my Clark Kent, my government name. I said, Mr. Wilkes, you're the coolest adult I know, because I'm doing what I can to redefine what it means to be an adult.
Right.
You know, and that's exciting to kids. That's exciting to teenagers. Is you talk their language, you don't talk down to them, and then you build them up. You know, I didn't want to be in my 30s and 40s and I actually made a song about it, like the Here Goes, No Sleep Over You, where people are, you know, you got that older generation, you got to listen to the album, you know, that older generation that's always talking smack like they know better than you do. No, you don't know better than me. You're not paying my bills. So if I pay my bills, I do all my stuff and I do everything I'm supposed to do. That's what I tell to the youth. So that's what we need to be talking about more.
Absolutely. Yeah. This album, even just that song means everything, when a lot of times we doubt ourselves, or we're listening to people who we're taking their opinions, and it matters nothing to you know who you are or who you will become. And it's like, I'm not losing any sleep over you. I got things to do.
Nope. The only person that matters is my mama.
Right.
And my grandmother, she always disappointed me. That's a lie. She's really proud of me, but she always shakes her head regardless.
Yeah, Dre said that's one of his favorite songs. So yeah, so let's wrap it up. So any last words you want to say? You can also say the website again. People have been putting it in the comments too. But any parting words about being self-aware, about the album, anything, and then we're gonna get up out of here.
Maryland mindset with DC influence. Listening to music that would group and start a movement. Go around drugs in the hoods and the burbs and hustling on the corner and the bullies in the schools. And sounds a bit redundant, but I gotta speak my truth in. Didn't want attention, so I did my best to duck down a bustin' loose Chuck Brown cul-de-sac to uptown. Went to high school, wasn't cool, but I don't give up now. Round here, when you really don't care, be prepared for indefinite stares. I wish I had a time machine so I could tell a younger me to keep those middle fingers waving up in the air. And now we're in the present, and my past is filled with lessons. With a highway to hell or a stairway to heaven. It's really all dependent how the pendulum swings, but one thing, I'm done pretending I don't want a happy ending. Nighttrain357.com. God bless.
Absolutely. We're gonna hit Joseph's comment and then we're gonna get out of here. He says, I'm doing what I can to redefine what it means to be an adult. That's a bar. And it reminds me of how Corday drew the line in the sand between the OG and an old head. OGs extend the olive branch between themselves and the younger generation. Old heads simply crap all over everything new and young. So
you don't know nothing. You busy day. And then I say to them, what you know about Phyllis Hyman? I say, I don't say nothing because you didn't teach me.
Right. Absolutely. So guys, we're gonna end the podcast portion of this. We appreciate you, and don't and never forget to go to www.relationshipgumbo.net. I have apparel there now. The shipping has gotten back to normal. So I said this last week, but there's t-shirts there, mostly all new designs and stuff for peace of mind over everything, because that's always going to be there. And yeah, just keep coming back. We're back here every Wednesday night at 8 p.m. And we're going to have next week, we're going to be having a mental health show. We have a black man on the show to represent what it really looks like to deal with things like PTSD and therapy and all these other kind of things. So come back and check that out. It's going to be a powerful show. And like I said, we appreciate you. Come back next week and we'll talk to you next week.
I'm going to buy some merch. I like that. I like that shirt.
And we're off. Thank you, sir.
Awesome. I think I cursed one fucking time.
So anybody have any parting last question? Because we're gonna click the red button here and chop it off. Joseph says my favorite song on the album in terms of message, 100%.
Yeah.
I remember Joseph on when you had him on the show and you really kind of dug into that song.
Yeah. That's one of my favorites.
Yeah, that's absolutely one of my favorite is obviously Cosmic Cruise, just because I like that. I like the vibe of it. I forgot to tell, like all the sci-fi references.
I forgot to mention that I did the music video.
I saw that too.
Yeah,
today.
I built that today. That's what I did during the pandemic. Everybody else was like, "What do you want to do for a Zoom happy hour?" I was like, "I can't." I bought a green screen and finished the rest of it. C-Mob, which is C-Mob Misra, which is I met him on Facebook actually through a friend, recorded it in 4K, and we built a spaceship, like a railing for a spaceship, and then green screened it. And then we never got it finished, and so I took the footage and I pulled a Schneider cut and just like
yeah, you got to do that sometimes, man.
Went on YouTube and learned how to do outer space. It was a lot of fun,
man. Let me tell you, man. There's so many things that I do that and talent and skills that I have that were born out of necessity because I just got tired of waiting on folks.
And speaking of in the future, I plan to work on more music, but I'm actually focusing. My next project is going to be a all Transformer EP. I made a song last year called Cyber Bounce. You should check it out. A lot of Transformer fans are really fans of it. Really got deep into the fandom, and I'm going to continue to do a couple more of those.
Cool.
Right now, I'm just selling the record, so I got buy the record. Right. I got to pay the credit card now.
Right. All right, guys, we're gonna get out of here. We're gonna let y'all, get y'all kids ready to get on them computers in the morning, and we'll see you next time. And
hide your kids, hide your wife.
Right. All right, guys, we out of here.
Okay, every Everybody wants good love, that's true, I know. Derrick Jones about to break it down with the relationship gumbo. Welcome to the podcast. Ain't no doubt we all need this, ayy. Cause better relationships need better ingredients, ayy. So if you want better relations, it's about communication, finding love, staying together. We all wanna make it better, yeah. Derrick Jones, the host, your relationship coach. Thank you all for tuning in. Relationship gumbo.